back to Belonging Songs, your weekly podcast that brings you a brand new original song each week, then talks about the theme of that song and the processes that went into writing and recording it. I am your host, Wade Dana. With me, as always, my good friends, Brad Maurer.
How you doing?
Dr. Patrick Crane.
How come Brad gets to go first?
Patrick Crane.
Oh, hey, everybody.
And Brad Maurer.
It's just I thought we were going alphabetical.
How you guys doing?
Awesome.
Awesome, yeah. We just spent, 5-10 minutes talking about the song we're going to do an episode on right now.
Yeah, I mean, this episode's in the can, right?
So we decided we should
had-
start doing the episode so we could talk about this all
We actually
again.
had 10 minutes of dialogue of what have we been up to. Probably weren't recording.
Oh, yeah. That was the best what you've been up to. And
now it's all
nothing.
just lies. Yeah, it's just
nothing.
lies. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I already told you everything.
So
Good.
we are Zooming tonight. Again.
Zoom.
Zoom. It's been
Ooh.
a
Is that an
challenge.
Eddie Money song?
Probably.
That
guy-
zoom in.
That guy dead.
Did I
Yeah.
ever? I told you guys the...
Who's going to open up DTE Energy Music Center?
His son, Leroy Money.
So I told you guys the story, like the day Eddie Money died, I was volunteering at the Ark in Ann Arbor, which is a folk music venue, really cool place. And I was standing next to the door doing some ushering because I'm a sound tech volunteer there. But before I could do that, I had to spend a couple days being an usher just so they knew I would keep showing up. And this guy comes up to me, gets right in my face, and just starts singing that song, Brad, that you were just singing by Eddie Money. And he went through like a whole verse and chorus, and like he was snapping his fingers and really getting into it. And he's like,
Was
must have
he?
thought like, oh, you're a volunteer at a music place, so you must be into Eddie Money. And he just went all in, like full
Was
force.
he shaking?
He was.
He did it. Yes, he did all that, and it was super, super awkward for me.
Whoa.
He was having a great time. I hope in his mind he was just like, I'm gonna go fuck with that kid, and just did that because that would be money.
I don't.
Edward.
But it was super awkward, and I was just like,
Money.
my response was like, shake my head, like thumbs up, like yeah,
Get
Eddie
after
Money,
it, man.
way to go. He's dead, right? Sorry.
Yeah, he went down.
Remember when Tom Petty died and we didn't know if he died?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to be insensitive on this show, but we did have a text thread going back and forth. We're like, oh man, Tom Petty died. And then like 10 minutes later, somebody's like, wait, I think he's alive. And this went on for like hours.
Well, it depends what channel you're watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to stay up to date with petty news, and it's bound to be misreported from time to time just for the sheer volume of information that's coming in.
Right.
I've had nobody walk up to me and sing Tom Petty yet. So
Ooh.
BSrs, if you find one of us in the wild.
Sounds like a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know, by the way, Something in the Air was a cover, but it is.
I don't even know what song that is. Which
Wade's
one
not
is
a Tom Petty fan. Patrick, you got anything on that?
I actually didn't know that either. You're about ready to teach me something.
Yeah, I was rolling home on.
Thought that was a Genesis song.
No, I was listening. No, that's In the
Or
Air.
Phil Collins.
In the air
Is that,
tonight.
is that
It's In the
Genesis
Air.
or just Phil
No,
Collins?
you're talking about the drunk deer.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's In the Air.
Oh, okay.
Something in the Air is a different song, and it was a cover from another band that
About
did
a
it in the
fart.
60s. I had no idea. But anyway, I digress. Couldn't
What's this
tell you the-
podcast about?
Yeah, what song are we talking about today?
This is
Tom
the
Petty.
podcast.
Oh, a Tom Petty song?
This is the
No,
one where I cover
just Tom
Something
Petty.
in the Air.
No, we are talking about one of Brad's songs today. It's called Pushing on the Bruise. This song is part of an era of songs that Brad recorded, 2-3 years ago? 5 years ago?
a couple winters ago. It was probably 3 winters ago.
Brad
I did
works
it.
goes on the winter system.
Yeah, I do. I have a lot better output in the winter because obviously there's less things to do. And so I play my guitar a lot more and I get a lot of songs out in the winter time.
So we've started an episode on your song Eating Crow. I don't know if this episode will come out before that one, but it's part of that era. So we're going to do about 4 songs from that same time period here coming up.
Yep. And actually, Where Do I Fit In is from this era.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not. Yeah, it was from the same sort of session.
That was an early episode, like real early.
It was. Yeah,
right?
Yeah, because it was pretty much wrapped up. You know, It was from this session, and that was it was a good 3 years.
That was 3 winters ago.
It was a good 3 winters ago.
Does this one sound like a James Bond theme too?
Where Do I Fit In was episode
12.
All right. So, yeah. Push It On The Bruise. Brad song from a few years back.
Yeah.
Do you guys think we should listen to this, or we can keep talking about Tom?
No, let's give it a listen.
I guess since I'm up.
So we're zooming, so you guys have to do special stuff to listen, right?
Yep.
I've already got this thing unmuted.
I'm ready to roll.
All right, here we go.
I'm getting old. New lines on my face. Not content even though I'm moving up the ranks. There are things I'll never know. Never get to feel while the wounds seem to close. They never really heal. From the morning clear through the night, we were pushing on. The phantom ring vibrates the fight. It's pushing on. It's a love for the dog, ache of life. Pushing on. Waking up in the middle of the night. It's pushing on. I think I've sold my soul for a bigger piece of the take, but a love for the mundane is a love I cannot waste. To me it's something huge, a reason for the day. And while I don't always bruise, night. Pushing on. Phantom ring vibrates the thigh. It's pushing on. It's enough to dawn wake of life. Pushing on. Waking up in the middle of the night. Pushing on.
Oh shit, we got a comment coming in. Can everybody see the chat? Can all the BSers see the chat? Brad must still be listening.
Yeah, well, it stopped when I went to chat.
Yeah, I saw you had a message, but I looked at the chat and there's nothing there.
Yeah, did it go in? Did it go in?
No, it popped, it like came on the top of the screen, and then I went and looked in the chat. Nothing.
Nothing.
What'd you
Nothing at
say?
all.
We're back. We're live. We're on air.
Well,
Ham
fuck the
radio,
chat.
Dave, Uncle Dave's ham radio station. Where are we broadcasting from? How far is our reach?
How does the guy fuck up a chat?
We're live.
I was just basically saying it should probably just fade out because it's a little lengthy on the tail end.
We
as
were
well.
actually talking before we started recording the episode about the intro and the outro of this song
Yeah,
and how they are
yeah.
kind of long. And I agree. I really like that guitar groove and the way it just kind of chugs along. But I do think, it could probably be truncated a little bit. This is a long song. It clocks in at 5 minutes and 24 seconds.
Yeah, and it's not all required time.
Right.
You know, it's got like the 2 instrumental breaks, which I don't know that are necessarily required.
So Brad told
could be
us there was
solos.
no solo in this song
Right.
before we
Yeah.
started listening, and there was
We-
definitely
that-
2.
We looked at the polygraph, and that was a lie.
Oh, I'm sorry. Those were probably just instrumental highlights.
Yeah, it was like without vocals, but there's a
Yeah.
guitar that's turned up a little bit, but it's not a solo.
No, it's lead guitar with rhythm section, and it's not a solo.
Yeah, a percussion.
yeah. Intro's 48 seconds long.
Mm-hmm.
I almost think the entire intro could go. I really like that guitar groove, but I get a little bored with it. Lingers around so long.
Brad loves to do the long intro to set the mood.
I do.
I think this
I
might be
don't-
a
I
little,
don't-
and I this does set the mood. I like that intro, but
Yeah.
like Patrick said, it goes throughout a lot of the song, so I don't know that it's necessary.
Yeah. I think the are we recording?
No, it's fine.
That's all editing room floor.
This is just a run through.
No, it is. It's a cool riff. It's
Reminds me of Queens
there's-
of the Stone Age a lot.
reminds me of
Just listening
Black
to it a lot.
Velvet,
Yeah.
if you please.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
No, I really like it. I'm trying to think. It puts me in a particular time, and I don't know where. There's something.
You should ask Dave about that.
Yeah.
He could dial it in, take
He
you
can
there.
get you there. The
I'll take you there.
not the era. It was after it came out, but it was definitely, I would say, influenced by them Crooked Vultures album.
Okay.
Is the one
That makes
I was
sense.
trying. What I
That
was
makes
trying
a lot
to.
of sense.
What I was trying to do was get
Yeah,
like
that
an
album
era.
has that one good song.
It's got a lot of good. No,
At the
it's
end?
got a lot of good songs.
Yeah, I agree with Brad on that one.
Got a lot of good songs. But I loved the way the guitars sounded. And so this was not, it wasn't supposed to sound like I ripped them off. It was supposed to be, it was kind of an effort for me to try to find out how I could get that sort of sound. I didn't get it. I think they had a bigger room than me.
I disagree because I said Queens of the Stone Age, and
Yeah,
it is
Josh
pretty
Homme.
close. So
Yeah.
I think you definitely hit a target. I don't know if it was as close as you wanted it to be, but that definitely came through.
I didn't want it to be that close. I just wanted it. I mainly wanted the guitars to sort of sound like that sound, and it was more of a challenge to myself to see if I could emulate.
They sound a lot chunkier than a lot of the guitars.
Yeah, it's
you do.
tuned down. It's tuned down, and it's all up in the low end of the neck.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely chunky, and I don't remember. I'd have to think.
Are you about to get technical?
Oh, we can wait on that. I'll mull that over so I can figure it out.
I want to talk about that instrumental interlude at 2:30.
The first one?
Yeah. What's frustrating is you say there's no solo, but what it actually sounds like is someone cut the solo out of the mix.
Yeah.
So like everything sounds mixed down. It sounds like there was supposed to be a solo laid on top of that.
And it's just missing.
Yeah, it's just missing.
So it's interesting. This is actually a old mix of mine.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually did go in and mix this song some years ago, but I wasn't great at mixing then. You can tell, like, I think the choruses really fall flat. They need to be a lot bigger in this mix.
I think there's stuff there to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was texting Wade earlier, Patrick, about like, hey, this is probably a good challenge.
Yeah, we basically did an entire podcast before we recorded this podcast.
Yeah, it was all done today earlier. You should have been there, guys.
Yeah, it was great.
It was like, I think everything's there. Just needs to be orchestrated and arranged better. I do agree. Like, I think I might try to do some solos on those parts just to provide a little bit of energy. Stays in a groove, but it doesn't have the energy that it probably needs.
It needs like really big bends. It needs
just even if it's unison guitar, like unison bends, or just some sort of messy, flowy thing, right? Like I think I might try to do something with that just to fill the gaps, because it was supposed to be sort of orchestral, like it needed almost a big string instrument there for those parts, but I don't have those resources, right? So I think the only way to get that energy would be with a solo and a guitar.
We could certainly try adding strings.
I mean, if you want to play around with it also, Wade, like I said, I mentioned in the earlier podcast, you can, if you want to put on, if you want to try with a string patch and go through and see if like you can build that up just to get like some break volume on it. That's kind of how it was intended to be. The song's, it's called Pushing on the Bruise. It's about pushing yourself, but it's a little painful to push yourself. It's like a good pain.
I have some notes about that. One of my favorite lines is after a reason for the day, like you go into the bigger part and then you say, I don't always bruise, but when I do, it's no mistake.
Right.
Which to me reads like often things that are worth it are hard.
Right. And you want it. And you want it.
So it's worth the pain of going through, or the hardship of accomplishing.
That's exactly. And this song, I'll tell you right now, it's probably one of the more lyrically, like the more autobiographical songs I've written.
That's my
especially
note
on the show
right here.
Yeah,
I
it's
say
definitely
Brad's story autobiographical, and I write that because most of your stuff's not. So I really took notice because knowing you very well, some of the lines did stand out to me as like, this is definitely his story. It
is. It was, and it's about like work-related things were starting to be talked about. Blah blah.
I can hear your ascension in your work life in this song.
Yeah, like, that's basically what
through the
what
ranks.
It was. That was when the conversations were starting to be had. It's like, do I want to do this? But then you're like, well, it's really challenging and it's good. Mm-hmm. And then actually I was listening to an interview with, of all people, Sarah Jessica Parker, and she was talking about the workload that she puts on herself. She used the term, it's like pushing on the bruise. Like you push on a bruise and it's like that good tingle,
from TV. So
it all ties together. But so the line came from that, but it resonated with me because it was like, that's what I do. Like you wiggle the tooth and the tooth
And
pull
you know
out.
what's so
But
funny
it's
is
such
like
a good thing when it comes out.
I had mentioned that I've mixed this song before years ago, and I've heard this a bunch of times, but not until critically listening for this podcast project do I
you put it
pay
together?
attention and be like, oh,
Yeah.
and it's so obvious that, oh, this is like autobiographical Brad song.
Yeah.
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 Which is
And
another reason this
I
is so
usually
fun.
I don't expose myself like that usually very often, and I wouldn't really.
This Zoom meeting says otherwise.
Put some pants on.
Well, I don't have them on, but you don't know.
But we do. Because your wang is hanging out.
Oh, there's a mirror.
Oh, Brad, were you trying to say something serious
Not anymore.
about exposing yourself for real,
Yeah.
feelings? Whatever.
No,
Get out of here.
No, whatever. Anyway, songs about TV. So,
No, I'm sorry. That was quite childish of me.
but no, I don't do it very often. And a lot of times, like I would, if we weren't doing this podcast, I would have never told anybody that. I would have let you try to guess, right?
Do you want me to edit that out?
Yeah, no, I'm good with it now. But a lot of people,
Freudian slip with that. Yeah, no.
yeah, no, but a lot of people wouldn't probably put it together. A couple might. It's not like a bad story. It's a good story, I think. It's just, I think a lot of people have the same like impulse, and it's just about pushing yourself a little bit, and
I
it's
think
a good
you're really good at telling stories that are relatable to a lot of people. A lot of your songs, even when like this is about you, but you always present things in a way where a lot of people can find themselves in that. I think you present it really well.
My hope is always like you did there. You probably pulled a line out that you thought sort of was evident for me about how it was autobiographical for me. But I just hope like everybody can relate to one line. So I try to leave it vague enough because that's how you catch a song. Like that's how I do. Like for instance, like I was listening to that interview and it was 95% bullshit. It was good, but it was 95% bullshit. But then that one line hit and I was like, oh, and the rest of it was that much more interesting.
Right.
So that's sort of what I try to do when I write songs, and not necessarily on purpose. It's just the way I've always written lyrics, I guess.
Do you guys think that this song could benefit from dropping one of those instrumental breaks solo and just going with one of them?
I don't know. The second one made sense to me too. It's mostly the first part of the song I think needs to be dropped.
Just the intro?
That's going to cut out, let's say you have 10 seconds of intro instead of 48. That's going to cut out a big chunk of the song there. That gets you into the 4.5-ish.
I think
range.
there's a really cool guitar part that's like dun 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 dun. Like maybe everything before then could maybe go, because that's such a cool place. That part that does set up kind of the feel.
And it brings in, it brings in that second guitar melody.
Yeah,
and I think the reason it's so long. Yeah, the reason it's so long though, Patrick, is I just do things in sets of 4, and so it's a couple of sets of 4 because that guitar plays differently a little bit each time, but the whole 4 repeat. That's why it gets long. So just take all the liberty you want, play around with that intro, and see if we can get it shorter to make sense, because I don't think it makes a lot of sense either.
I'll do some edits and send them to you guys, and then we'll kind of back and forth until we get it. And then we'll talk about it.
I'll try to rip some solos off and see.
You can do some ripping solos.
I'll see if I can get some, or just even some vibe changes. Like you said, even if it's a unison bend and it's 4 of them in a row, it's probably better than what's going on there, because it'll provide a little bit of life, little energy. So I'll try that a little bit too.
I think that's what the song needs, because it has that rolling riff that just needs to be bumped up somewhere.
Yeah, and I want it to be primarily monotonous and sort of, matching the theme a little bit, just sort of like crunchy and driving and just sort of constantly, not annoying, but just a little, I want you to be a little agitated listening to it a little,
like hanging out with you.
You're right.
I think the verses are good. I think it's that the choruses don't differentiate themselves enough from them.
But I think there's enough. I think there's enough stuff there, Wade. Like I think
it really needs a lift.
if you go through, like, I think there's enough backing vocals. I think they're there. I don't know that first mix draws them
And
out.
that's a fault of my first mix.
Well,
yeah,
yeah, but I think we all look at things completely differently now than we did 3 years ago, even. And also the melodic guitars, I think, could really come up and be accentuated a little bit, or even complemented with another instrument or something. So take some liberties there as well with those, because I think there's enough parts and pieces. I didn't give it to you arranged well, and then you probably just cleaned it up.
Yeah.
I really like what you did with the chorus structure. I don't have the lyrics in front of me, but it's pushing on the bruise, line, pushing on the bruise, different line, pushing on the bruise.
Coming back to it.
Yeah,
right?
I really, really like what you did there. That's the part of the song where my brain just started to turn on and I started paying more attention to the lyrics. There's something about how you constructed that.
I was trying to come up with scenarios, basically. So you had, like, I think you have 4 different scenarios where that line applies. The one that I always think about is the phantom ring that vibrates your thigh, because when you're busy, your phone's ringing all the time, and you think it's ringing, so you pull it out, and you're just like, well, it's not a bad thing, but it's pushing on the bruise. It's related to something, And so there's a few of those that I tried to walk you through what the song means with the chorus.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think the whole theme of the song comes through really well. I don't think that's an issue at all with the storytelling. Good. I think that's very apparent when you're listening to it and relatable.
I think we just got to clean up the listenability of it. I think the length of it is detrimental.
Yeah,
probably
over 5 minutes is a long. I mean, there's a place for stuff like that, but
not when it's 3 parts.
But when it's exactly, when it's so same, repeating.
So I agree. I think that needs to be cleaned up. We need to get it probably down to 4-ish.
So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to do some arranging on this, and I'm going to send it back and forth between us, and we'll talk about it off the air until we get it to where we want it, and then I'll mix it, because full disclosure, BSers, we're really trying to keep up with the podcast release schedule, and it's really hard to release a new song every week. And I'm really proud that we have been able to keep it up this long, and we've got some back catalog and things to keep us going. But to get this episode out as quick as we can, we're not gonna revisit the song a bunch. We're gonna figure it out, and next time you listen to it, hopefully it'll be done.
Yep, that's part of the reason why we're zooming. Sometimes it's hard to get 3 schedules to line up.
Yeah, Brad's going out of town for work. Got to push on that bruise.
Lot going on. We figured out this resource through the pandemic.
So it's 11 o'clock on a Saturday right now, and everybody's done doing their chores. Everybody's super busy.
Patrick and I, we're hardcore choring all day long.
Hardcore choring. I'm covered in sawdust. You look like you smell bad.
I need a shower. I definitely need a shower. I was telling these guys I came in from a 6-7 mile bike ride before I hopped on. So I reek.
Slammed some gin.
Yes.
Diet bourbon. Sorry.
That was
It's with Gatorade. Blue kind.
Yeah. I love it.
No,
everything's good.
I think with all that said, and you guys needing to, hit the showers, we should jump in the time machine and get this episode rolling.
Would be a good diet bourbon name.
Right, suburban. Love it. All right, let's get in that time machine.
All right. Well,
to the future.
Set course.
To the future!
We are back here talking, pushing on the bruise. It's been quite a while since we listened to this last, and we just gave it a re-listen so we could kind of regather our thoughts. Patrick was just kind of recapping that when I realized we were no longer recording, and now we're back. Patrick.
In part, intro too long, good bones, chorus is good. This song I'm really excited to hear rearranged, because I do think there's something there that can be pulled out by just mostly production. So I'm super amped to hear the new version.
So Brad has heard this. I cut out some stuff. This is a lot shorter now and gave it a mix. We should probably...
holy crap. That's like 2 minutes shorter.
It is.
Like, I was going to just comment that it pains me to listen to the first version now after I heard the other one. Just because it's so dragged out and like there's so much stuff that's just not important in it. So
but that's why we do this.
Absolutely.
This whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So
and
I'm excited.
we could talk about the A versus B after we listen to it. But I was listening to that just going, get on with it, dude.
Just now.
Like, come on already with the song. So yeah, it took a minute.
All right. So we should listen to this.
All right. I will.
All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Wait a minute. No.
It appears I'm getting old. New lines on my face. Not content even though I'm moving up the ranks. There are things I'll never know. Never get to feel. While the wounds seem to close, they never really heal. From the morning clear through the night, we were pushing on the bruise. The phantom ring that vibrates the thigh, pushing on. Love for the dawn, ache of life, pushing on, waking up in the middle of the night, pushing on. You might think I've sold my soul for a bigger piece of the take, but a love for the mundane is a love I cannot waste. To me it's something huge, a reason for the day. And while I don't always bruise, when I do it's no mistake. From the morning clear through the night, we're pushing on. Phantom ring that vibrates the thigh, it's pushing on the bruise. It's the love for the dull ache of life, pushing on the bruise. The waking up in the middle of the night, the pushing on the bruise.
All right. That's it. It's been a while since I heard that mix. Patrick, thoughts? He was
notes.
drawing spaceships throughout that whole thing.
Yep. Wow. Yeah. Way to bring out what was there. The first thing I wrote was the transition to chorus is amazing. There's so much more energy in the mix that your voice comes through just with this huge push of emotion. Whereas before I thought that was kind of flat. That's totally a production thing.
I think it's a lot of the background vocals being brought way up in that part.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It almost has like a chorus effect.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that because I think you sing that really powerfully. There's also something in the mix where I picked up the cymbal crashes a lot more in this song, which I love. I think it's the second time you sing "Pushing on the Bruise." In each line, there's like a yeah. It's just it's great. It just kind of lights me on fire, and I think adds to that effect. I also get the sustain notes in the background come through a lot more clearly, and I think instead of ambient, they actually add to the sound of the guitars in this. The intro is right where it needs to be now. It just makes sense that it would come in there. And I just think this went from a mediocre song, mediocre plus, to just great. Wade's looking at me like he doesn't believe me.
No, cool. I'm just listening. What do you think about the end?
The end, I love the reverb on the vocals and dropping the instruments. There was something that sounded a little metallic-y at the end, like a little too much so, but I like the concept.
Okay.
Really, it's a mixed thing. It's being nitpicky. I love what you did as far as the arrangement.
Well, that sound that you're talking about is all the music that you hear at that very end after the full arrangement drops out is coming through Brad's headphones.
Oh, God.
So that's on the vocal track. I can't get rid of it. I could try and EQ it, though.
Yeah.
Wade tried to convince me that I had the monitors on, and I was like,
sure
I don't think so, but I might have.
I've been with you when you record vocals.
And if I had the mic up pretty hot, which sometimes I do, I'll stand back a little bit and turn the mic way up. You might be able to hear it. I think it completely transformed the song into something that I probably, that I know I never would have done by myself, because I would never just have had the balls to cut like my own intro up that harsh. You know, because it at first it didn't sound right, just because I'm like, well, why is that guitar coming in already? It should have gone from not there to being there. But when I remove myself from it and you just listen to the song, you're like, yeah, well, that's what it should sound like. And I agree with the whole chorus thing too. Like the choruses coming in on Wade's version are just so much thicker. Like the first chorus almost sounds like you're going out, like it's the big out chorus, you know, but it happens again, which is really cool.
It lifts everything up. It gives this really kind of nice sine wave to the song. I think
great. It really needed that too, because a lot
the
of our comments were, this is very much the same
long,
right.
and the instrumental breaks, you basically just took one out, which is good, and the second one is like the perfect length because it's a little bit of a change, like a little bit of diversion from the chorus to the verse, but it's not enough to do something else in. It just kind of changes you for a second.
I really love, there's a guitar in there that I brought way up.
Little guitar strum.
That just fits really well in there. Yeah. You had like 3 guitars in that spot. I got rid of 2 of them. They were all kind of doing the same thing and just used that one and put a delay on it so it would go kind of back and forth like that with that little solo element in the middle. And I think that turned out really good. Patrick, I believe one of your comments was that this song didn't really have a solo. It had like this instrumental break and almost like a solo was missing. But I think just bringing a couple things up in that spot gives it that like
instrumental.
Yeah, it gives it a feeling of this being its own part.
Yep. My other comment was, wow. I'm so impressed at how transformed this song is.
Me too, because I don't know if I mentioned it before and whatever, but this thing just sat around for so long because I just never could figure out how to finish it, meaning add to it in my mind. Like I just kept thinking there was more I had to do to it. Yeah. But yeah, like it was really a subtraction equation. And it was just like there was too much there. You really just have to pull things out to complete it. And that's all Wade did.
Yeah. This song had such powerful lyrics, but the monotone riff that was in the original mix just almost lost the meaning to those lyrics, and I think this just highlights them.
Because it just gets you to them quicker,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
And so the song actually ends up being about words instead of like this riffy groove kind of
Right.
thing.
Right.
Where it was, probably 60% music before. And now it's, 70% lyrics.
We took this from 5 minutes and 24 seconds down to 3 minutes and 42 seconds.
So that's huge. And that's, again, I need to say thank you for the show and for you guys, because I would have never done that. And I'll tell you over and over again with every song, usually it seems like, but this song I don't really even like. I never really liked it that much. Like, honestly, I'll tell you, like, I didn't put a lot of effort into things.
Here
whatever.
we go.
Right. I mean, I never really, not a lot of people heard it just because I'm like, whatever. Right. That's a thing I did. That was a weekend,
Well, we've talked about getting a song to a certain point and then you kind of fall
You fell out of love with it.
And then to go back to it and listen, like you're just stuck. And that's the cool thing about this project. You can bring those to other people, and we might tell you, you might bring a song and be like,
it's not worth it.
Maybe not worth pursuing. But this, I think, did have elements that were in there to make it a good song. And that's
usually I know that because it's finished. If there's something that I fall out of love with, it seems like I do it pretty quick, and I don't even finish it.
Right.
Like, I'll just keep it as a riff to maybe apply somewhere else. So the fact that it was quote unquote done for me makes me think like, there was at least enough to for me to care about to finish it. So, but that was my way of saying, like, thank you to you two, because I would have never got this song, especially the mix, to where it is, but the arrangement specifically.
Yeah. You can still play that long intro, and you play it live, and you bring a guest guitarist out to noodle over that intro.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That'll be like, the first thing, right? To get the crowd, to get all the people to get in from like the beer
for at least an hour.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll just keep
while everybody's eating.
Kind of like that dude when we went to see Swans. He just played these bells for like 10 minutes. He had these little hammers, and he's just beating on these bells. We're like, well, this is probably going to end in a minute, right? No,
dude looked like Thor playing big bells.
A little tiny Thor,
shirt off,
just 10 minutes of just playing these bells. And we're like, well, eventually, like, the band's going to pop in here, right? They never did.
Huh.
Yeah. Anyway.
I think it's really cool that this is also part, like you mentioned, of a group of songs that we are finishing on this show. And I think that the best way to release them once they're all done, obviously we put these songs out as we finish them, but once we get this little era of songs done, we should compile them into an EP and like call it its own thing. Yeah.
And there's a couple more, of that era. I think I did like 7 or 8 maybe. And this is one of like the first 4 or 5 ones that I would pull out of those 7 or 8. So like the other ones I would like you guys to hear, but mainly just to see if they're worth even messing with.
Right. Cool.
So yeah, again, thanks. This was Belonging Songs being what it was created to do. Is right here, this song.
Awesome. Now it belongs. Are we good on
Good to
this
go.
episode?
Yeah. Don't forget to eat a hot dog. Still July.
Sick of this episode. Let's get out of here.
That's boogie.
Oh yeah, this is going to be still
hot dog
National Hot Dog Month. Yeah, so get them in. You still got 5 days here.
I saw Uncle Dave dipping some hot dogs in some quality dairy French onion dip.
That's sounds about right.
See, it's a roll dog too, right? It was on the rollers all day.
Yeah.
It was all warm.
It needed some love.
It was getting like that liquidy water pool up in the middle of the dip.
Man, Uncle Dave, iron stomach. That guy.
Yeah, that guy could eat anything.
Right.
And does.
With that, check us out on Instagram. Sometimes we post stuff there relevant to the week's episode. As always, you can check out the before and after versions of all our songs on our website, belongingsongs.com. We're actually up to 2 pages of songs now. It only lets you put 60 on 1 page of songs. We're up to the 2nd page.
You got to click next?
Yeah, you got to click page 2.
Whoa.
Page 2.
Page 2.
Whoa.
What else? We've got t-shirts. Still looking to give one away. Nobody's left a review for the podcast since May 25th or something like that.
Pre-shirt.
It's been a while. So pretty much if you could be the one and only person to leave a review and tag us in a photo on social media, and you're going to win. And This podcast is produced by Satellite Chicken Sound Lab. If you or anyone you know needs help producing a podcast, go to satellitechicken.com. And as always, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you here again next week. It's summertime, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but I have a workout machine now, so I cut all the sleeves off of my shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Boom, done. Next.